that is not going to give you the right training to have you do well in math, thereby fulfilling your prophecy. Is that what you mean, that kind of thing? Yeah. We care more about social examples here, but yes. Okay. Classic experiment done here in San Francisco back in the 60s and replicated in many different ways since in the classroom, in the education system. Teachers at elementary school in San Francisco were told, okay, that a certain group of students, based on their scores or based on teachers' observations, what have you, that they were on the verge of a real intellectual growth spurt. Watch out for that group of students, group A over there. Woo, they're going to be taken off soon. Other group, not so much. This is the expectation that's planted in teachers' minds. Unbeknownst to teachers, the groups were completely randomly chosen. Okay, just planted these expectations. 8 months later, they gave participants, students, not participants, students, actual IQ tests. And the group that the teachers thought were going to be on the verge of this intellectual growth spurt actually performed better. When in fact, they were just labeled as being on a growth spurt, but not actually necessarily going to be on one. How could this self-fulfilling prophecy have happened? What are the intervening steps or possible intervening steps that can account for this happening? Intuitively, yeah. Yeah.
Well, teachers that they thought kids on a person intellectual spurt probably focused higher education.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you heard that. So when you think students are really about to achieve, you have higher expectations for them. Maybe you give them more challenging questions. Maybe you call on them more. All different kinds of behaviors that are consistent with expectations, but that may have the effect of bringing out the very behaviors you initially expected. For those with low expectations, they're doing the opposite kinds of tendencies. Yeah.
I know that book mentioned that once you become aware of some kind of bias, you can prevent yourself from making it in the future. Has there been any testing to see, like, if teachers become aware of these biases and they treat them differently anymore?
So the question is, one of the first steps, as in therapy, of avoiding these kind of biases is to be aware that they can occur. A teacher can say to themselves, okay, don't judge just because you might be wrong about these expectations. Okay, maybe they're based on information that's not accurate or is not warranted to be used as a basis for judging people. We do that a lot when we're looking at applications to our graduate program or any application process in the education system. You try really hard not to let their undergraduate institution affect your ratings of them because you know that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? It doesn't have to mean something. There could be many other circumstances. Technically, yes, but I think in reality, it's very difficult to overcome those biases. And we're going to get to that in a second when we talk about schema change. Why exactly it's difficult? Okay. Okay. I think there's a question here. Yes, there's a question here. Which of the following has to be true for the self-fulfilling prophecy to occur between two people, Aaron and Lily, let's say? Aaron does not hold any preconceptions about what Lily is like. B, Lily holds strong beliefs about her warmth and approachability. Aaron approaches Lily with hesitation because his friend told him she could be very aloof. Lily interprets Aaron's behavior to be friendly. Which of the following fits the self-fulfilling prophecy idea, is necessary, a necessary component of a self-fulfilling prophecy to occur between Aaron and Lily? Where are we at? 2:33. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get your votes in. And the answer is what? C, correct. Let's see if that's true for most people. Yay, terrific. Okay, let me just make a comment here about B, because I think it's interesting. Okay, I think you all got it, right? A doesn't make any sense. If Aaron has no preconceptions, there's no initial prophecy or hypothesis you're testing. B doesn't make any sense, you might think, but I want to talk about it in a second, because what does Lily's beliefs about herself have to do with what Aaron's beliefs about her are and how Aaron treats her? Lily interprets Aaron's behavior to be friendly. That's nice. Okay, that doesn't have anything to do with the beginning stages of the self-fulfilling prophecy. B is a little bit interesting, okay, because a little bit related to your question up here, this is another thing that I didn't mention that can maybe, it's a force that can push against the self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, and the idea here is that others can hold expectations about you and act in ways that are like trying to elicit that behavior unbeknownst to them. But if you are really sure, your beliefs about yourself are very, very strong. Okay, I'm really sure I'm good at math, or I'm really smart. So no matter how much this teacher does not call me, I'm going to raise my hand and get in her face because I'm really sure. The more sure you are about your self-views, about who you are, about your abilities, that can counteract the power of the self-fulfilling prophecy. In essence, the self-fulfilling prophecy is one person's expectations fighting against the other person's self-views. And what research has shown is, to the degree that your self-views are strong, held confidently, and so forth, you can sometimes win that battle. Okay, like I will not fulfill your prophecy. I am good at math. Okay, this is not something you're conscious of, but you're going to act in ways that will disconfirm how they're treating you. You with me? Okay, just a side interesting note about the self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay. At this point, many people feel like, oh man, schemas are hard to change. And that is true. Okay, schemas are very hard to change. And that fits with the notion that I've been sort of pounding, which is that using schemas, using our pre-existing knowledge is a functional thing. But fear not, there are factors, various ones. I'm going to talk about specific ones, and then I will step back and tell you about what's common to all of these, so you have a more general understanding of what's needed to actually leave open the possibility for schema change. One of the most straightforward, perhaps, ways of leaving open the possibility that your initial expectations, impressions, beliefs about another person or group might be open to alteration is giving yourself or giving another person whose schemas you want to change instructions to, dude, you try not to be biased, okay? Let me give you a strategy. Try to consider the opposite, okay? Try to look for data that actually support the alternative hypothesis. So some of you might have a best friend or a sibling whose boyfriend or girlfriend you cannot stand. And your friend, okay, really wants to change your opinion. Okay, they or your sibling is like, come on, give him a break, give him a chance. Think about all those times. Think about times when he was nice. Think about that time when he said those things. Try to consider the opposite. And the idea is there is that maybe if you gather data supporting another impression of the person, this might change your initial impression. You mean that this isn't strong enough for the perseverance effect? Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So he's saying it doesn't seem like this is going to work for the perseverance effect. And I agree, it's not necessarily the case that this will work for any of these effects. Yeah, with the perseverance effect, I don't know what research there is specifically about how to change it beyond the obvious, which is to really alert people, maybe to really get them. Imagine if you did not have this data. Okay, imagine an outside person really getting them to try to simulate what somebody else's judgment would be if they didn't have this suspended information. Really try to get them to do that. Okay, that still may fail. Okay, but that would be what you need to do. So I'm not saying these are solutions that always work. They're just possibilities. Okay. The other three examples I'm going to give, well, they're all related in a lot of ways, but I'm just giving you some concrete examples here. Another concrete example is increasing the stakes of holding a wrong impression. So when we're choosing applicants into our graduate program, when you're choosing a romantic partner, a lifelong mate, the stakes are pretty high. Under those circumstances, you would hope, okay, and most of us, at least most of the time, would try not to fall prey to confirmation biases, or at least try to be alert to them, or at least go beyond just the initial belief you have and try to collect additional information, okay, to make sure in as unbiased a way as possible that your initial hypotheses or impressions are valid. Outcome dependency situations, what do I mean by this? This is in situations where your outcomes are dependent on other people, okay, you're interdependent. And an everyday situation like this would be when you're in a study group or you're working on a group project and there's a single group grade. And so it's really important, your outcomes are dependent on how much work other people put into the project. Under these circumstances, it would be wise for you to choose your group membership without falling prey to any confirmation biases, okay? Don't choose the person who, you know, looks smart, okay, or not choose the person who fits your stereotypes of not being smart necessarily, okay, or a hard worker or team player, what have you, because your outcomes are dependent, okay, on making good judgments here. Accountability, okay, sometimes the decisions we make, the impressions we form, we have to justify them to other people. Sometimes you're recommending somebody for a job, okay, and you need to justify why you think they're worth it. In situations like that, for example, when you're accountable for your decisions, okay, when someone could follow up on you with you and say, I cannot believe you recommended this person, okay, you're gonna feel really bad and potentially stupid, you're gonna be a little bit more careful to not just hold on to your initial beliefs. What I want you to notice here, I don't really care if you remember these specifics here. What I really want you to notice is something that's common to all four of these examples of factors that might encourage schema change. And that's two things. One, they all require some degree of motivation. You gotta care a little bit. Okay, you gotta care somewhat to not make mistakes, to not rely on initial impressions, initial hypotheses, hunches. The other thing you need to have is cognitive resources, the mental ability. I can care all I want about making the right admittee decisions for our PhD program, but if I have 400 applications to look through in 2 hours, no amount of caring is going to guarantee that I do not fall prey to any of these confirmation biases. Okay? You need motivation and mental resources. Motivation and ability. I don't mean ability like intelligence or smartness. I mean cognitive ability, cognitive resources. Okay? Not limited time, not distraction, not difficult to read applications because they're scanned improperly, what have you. I need to be able to, cognitively able to go beyond simply relying on initial information. And this takes us to the next topic. This takes us to the distinction between automatic versus controlled thinking. What do I mean by this? Okay. What was common, again, to all those factors that encourage or leave open the possibility of schema change is motivation. How important is the situation, the issue, the topic, the person, what have you, to you, the perceiver? How much does it affect your perceiver, like outcome dependency? Do you care? Do you give a hoot? And ability, does the perceiver have adequate mental resources and so forth and so on? Yeah, Alex.
The outcome dependency, it doesn't have to be linked though, right?
What do you mean?
Study partner, like say we say together migrate, but then that still counts as outcome dependency because her health fitting is migrate.
Yeah, it's only I, the perceiver. We don't need to get that technical, but yeah, sure, it could. It's how you perceive it, okay? And it's just one example of a circumstance when you're depending on someone that is likely to increase how much you care about this, making a right impression of her, okay? Motivation and ability are those necessary ingredients to avoid what I'm going to call schema-driven thinking, because that's what we've been talking about the last 2 or 3 lectures. Thinking, cognitions based on our pre-existing beliefs, schema-driven thinking. Contrast that with data-driven thinking. That's the kind of thinking that occurs when you're motivated and have the ability. So instead of forming an impression based on the fact that they're from Stanford and using your schemas about Stanford, you're actually going to do data-driven thinking if you're motivated and have the ability, and you'll look to specific information, specific pieces of data about this person you just met, beyond just the fact that they're from Stanford. That's just one piece of information. They're also very nice. They also ride a cool bicycle. They also chew gum a lot, what have you. All these other kinds of information. You're making an impression about this person based on not just pre-existing beliefs about what Stanford undergraduates are like. Okay, so there are 2 sort of basic ways of thinking. This is a distinction we social psychologists make, cognitive psychologists make. This is a distinction that is well known in psychology as a whole. Schema-driven is top-down thinking. Top-down meaning you're using pre-existing knowledge and bringing it to bear on all this data, and it's getting colored by your pre-existing knowledge. Bottom-up data-driven processing is you're looking at all the data on the floor and you're bringing it up and building your impression from the bottom up. Okay, these are very traditional kinds of terms. It belies or reveals my age. Schema and data-driven thinking. Today, nowadays, we call this automatic versus controlled thinking. Automatic thinking is a kind of thinking that occurs when you're relying on pre-existing knowledge. Data-driven thinking is controlled thinking, okay, when you're relying not on pre-existing knowledge as much, and you're instead looking at particular pieces of information to decide how to judge somebody, how to behave toward a person, and so forth. Okay? This is silly. I have way too many slides for this very basic point. Okay, here's how your textbook, let's elaborate a bit more on automatic and controlled thinking. This comes straight from your textbook, I believe. You don't really need to write it, but automatic thinking is not very demanding of motivation or mental resources, ability. It is non-conscious. That is a term that we like to use in the textbook. It is unintentional. You don't need to form an intention to engage in automatic thinking. It's involuntary. It's not like you have a choice, and it's effortless. Doesn't require much mental resources. That's the functionality part. Controlled thinking requires both motivation and mental resources. You're aware you're engaging in it. You intend to do it. I'm going to look at these applications very carefully. It's voluntary. I'm choosing to do that, and it is, taking some cognitive resources. Okay, it's effortful. This is all relative. Okay, you with me? You got kind of a sense of what these things are? I clicker it out. Let's see how well we get. Oh, I didn't mean that. Okay. Which of the following is least likely to involve controlled thinking? Least likely to involve controlled thinking. Taking an exam in your social psychology class, talking on the phone with your best friend, perusing the shelves at your local bookstore for something to buy, deciding on what courses to sign up for next semester. The least likely to involve controlled, effortful, intentional, voluntary, conscious kinds of thinking. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And the correct answer is A. Would that be great? Yeah, okay, B. Okay, B, but let's see what happened here. Okay, great. Now C, some of you might have put. Anybody willing to talk as a C person? Perusing the bookshelf? Yes? Exactly. You could totally do that effortlessly, automatically. Okay. I tried to make that not as good an option as the right answer by saying you were going to buy something, so the stakes are a little bit higher. You're not just going to willy-nilly choose, oh, well, shell out $20 here. That was the idea there. Okay. That's why I thought talking with your best friend is a little bit of a better example. It's something you practice a lot. It is effortless. It's automatic. You don't have to think about it. What should I say next? No, you just do it. Okay. Talking on the phone is a very automatic kind of behavior. Okay. I sense movement. Stop moving. Hold on. Okay. We'll pick up when we meet up on Wednesday.